Hello. Anyway, my name is Darren. I was born and raised in central Wisconsin in Wood County. The 715 represent. Um, uh, my video today is the topic of when in September of 2004, junior in high school. I went to high school at Lincoln High School, Wisconsin Rapids. Um, in September of 2004, I had seen a UFO, or a series of events, or a series of UFOs all in one night, and I was not alone. I saw it with my mother, or my father, my sister, and my ex-girlfriend. We were sitting outside of our house in Kellner, Wisconsin. Now this was about dusk, I remember. Like it was that time of the day where the sun was lowering and the sky was kind of orange. I had some of that going on, and I remember facing the west. We were on Stacy and I. We were on my parents' rocking swing, and we were just having a casual conversation. I think we had just gone for a walk around the block. Anyway, I'm one of those people that when I talk sometimes I look off in the distance or whatever, and in this particular instance I was kind of just looking at the ground as we were rocking back and forth. And something in the peripheral of my vision, my view, caught my attention. And I looked over, and there were these 1, 2, 3 balls of what I can best equate to as fire in the sky. Now it wasn't fire that there was orange and yellow flames, but it was a ball of fire. It was just like maybe orange, and why I say fire is because it had like a radiant heat to it. You know, if you look down the road on a hot summer day, you get that little bit of a transparency kind of effect. What's that called? I can't think of it right now. Mirages, I don't know. Anyway, but this was like a radiant heat, okay? When you see the heat waves, and it distorts the image behind it. Now this is what it was: 3 balls of fire. The distance I would estimate between 1 mile to 3 miles, maybe max. A brief tidbit of information is there has been UFO activity in this area before in Kellner, Wisconsin, central Wisconsin. Interesting. It's a fascinating phenomenon. Whether if it's of a spiritual nature, extraterrestrial, or beyond, something we have yet to even fathom, guess, stumble across. Anyway, this one particular night, sitting there talking, looking down on the ground, something caught my attention. It's 3 balls of fire, and they're huge. Now at that distance, 1 mile to 3 miles, I would best estimate about 1.5 miles to 2 miles. That would be my what I feel good about saying. Now these were huge. Okay, like if you were to tip a super Walmart on its side, so you could see the aerial view of it, the bird's eye view, where you can just see a huge, block thing. Now just imagine like a ball of fire. Now they were blinking, and it had no particular pattern to it. They weren't moving, they were just blinking. I don't know. I almost want to say I wonder if it was a Morse code. I shouldn't even. I don't know if it pays to even guess. Anyway, but as they were blinking, there was no structure behind it. But yet they would illuminate again, and sometimes hold that illuminated effect, and blink out and come back in. This lasted for 20, 30 seconds. And the speed that these things were blinking, I don't know, wasn't very fast. It wasn't rapid. It didn't accelerate or change in the rate, the speed of the changing. After those were done, that was it, and I was just awe-stunned. Like, oh my gosh, did you see that? Wow. Yeah, And I know that following that, like I'd knocking on the windows trying to get my other people's attention. They'd come out, they'd see nothing, because in the meanwhile there were things taking place in the sky. It would be like if someone struck a match in the darkness and how it would flare up. Like things like that were happening, like amongst the stars. Like also, like a match would light up in the darkness. That kind of like something's lighting up out there in between, the sky and space. That atmosphere somewhere in between there, and I don't know how many times that had happened. And I remember this one particular occasion, amongst the series of events. It was like a satellite. And remember, this is dusk. This isn't nighttime yet. But we're looking kind of to the west where the sun is setting. It's like a satellite just drifting along, doing its thing. And then it does like a J-hook and shoots back off the direction it came from, but angled up, but sloped up a little bit, so it has more of an incline. It just was drifting along. And I remember it did like a J, if you wrote a J in cursive, how you do that underhook and back up. That's the direct. That's what it did. It was just going along and yo, it's out of town. Yeah, just astounding. Okay, now I've always been fascinated with the UFO phenomenon. I've always wanted to see a flying saucer. I've always wanted to see a UFO. So this is really happening. Now, at this time, I have not seen the atypical flying saucer or the delta-shaped or triangle or sphere. Now, like with all the research I have done, there are countless, endless variation types of UFOs, and I don't necessarily categorize them. I think they're something maybe of a spiritual nature or extraterrestrial, or interdimensional. Maybe it's time travelers. Maybe it's us. Maybe it's us from the past. I don't know, but I do believe that the phenomenon is real. The sky containing unidentified aerial phenomenon is real. I've yet to see a flying saucer. I've seen more UFO signs. Some of them are very astounding, like wow stories. Some of them are just like, wow, yeah, that was definitely fit into that unknown. However, back to my story, the satellite and just shooting off. Trying to think. Okay. So then, in the meanwhile, after several attempts to get my family to come out, finally my dad and youngest sister come outside. And instead of just giving like 5 or 10 seconds glance and nothing's happening when going back in, this time they actually come outside and walk around the house with us. Okay, this gets crazy. Because as a child, I was a junior in high school. I always believed in aliens. My dad's like, aliens aren't real, dude. and this is why it humors me, because my dad saw this part, and I've talked to other people too that have seen 2 lights just come at blazing speeds across, one the furthest east, the one the furthest west, and come together and illuminate. Well, that's what my dad saw. He saw that transition, that transitional effect. I just saw the part where it illuminated. Above the tree line in our backyard, what I can best equate to as like a stadium light at a baseball game, turned on, just... It didn't make that sound effect, but you get the idea. All of a sudden, a light just turned on in our backyard. The brightness of... If you're at a baseball game at night and the stadium lights are on, it's just bright. Now, it didn't waver, but the shape that it took was like a cross, just like the cross of Jesus, alright? But if you put a point of light at each spot, at each tip and one in the center. Like that there was a light in that cross, and that's what illuminated. You know why I laugh about this? Because my daddy's like, "Darren, aliens don't exist, whatever." And I remember looking at his face and seeing the light shine off his face, just like if we were to watch the 4th of July fireworks and you see the light shine off a person's face. As a child, as I operated, I remember thinking, in your face, Dad, because aliens, like, I don't know what it was. After that happened, again, I didn't see this part, my dad saw it, where the two lights separated and shot back off from where they came, which was complete opposite ends of the earth in each direction, east-west. Now, what's interesting is it was a clear night. At this time, when this happened, it was dark, that UFO in our backyard. But what's interesting is it isn't until after this, and how I know it, because I never had thought about it till my dad had mentioned it about the sound of jets passing over. Jets did not pass over. The sound of jets did not pass over till, I would say, a third to a minute and a half later. Like, I would say 20, 40 seconds minimum to a max of a minute and 20 seconds after the event of the lights did I ever hear sound of jets. And it was something I've had paid no attention to till my dad thought of it, like mentioned it, and that perhaps it was a military exercise. Could have been, I don't know. But some of the events were rather astounding. Those fireballs at the beginning, I was talking about the very first thing I saw. It could have been something distorted on the horizon, like sometimes how the moon rises and some days it's just huge. It could have been something just from, I don't know, like that. But the thing with the satellite shooting off, it was not a shooting star or asteroid, meteorite, or whatever. I heard one theory to explain some of these things that come into the Earth's atmosphere, and boom, 90-degree angle change, whatever. They say it's, a meteorite or something that, I don't know, something doesn't hit the Earth's angle right and deflects. It was not that. It was not. The thing in our backyard, when it illuminated, it was stationary. It did not waver. It just was still. It seemed like it turned off and dispersed. Like I said, my dad saw the two lights return which its end, where it came from. And I've talked to other witnesses who've seen UFOs like that too, where two lights will come together from just vast distances at incredible speeds. And two, now this not hearing the sound of jets till afterwards. You may have heard that our government tries to chase these things down. I talk to people about UFOs all the time, and a resident in my hometown area told me, and this is a separate story, separate case, that one time he saw a green ball of light, like an orb, traveling above the tree line. And he said it wasn't long after that he saw a military chopper following it. Now this is just astounding. But again, could it be military development, or just something that I really think it just is unknown? Will we ever know? Who knows? Are we even onto the right clues, or are we venturing the right trails when we're guessing, it might be a just different organic type of life form. I don't know. But what I have to say is true. I'm sure after I watch this video and review it, I'll think of how I could have told my tale better. But no, September of 04, 2004. No, September 2004. Right now it's September of 2014. But yeah. Anyway, let me know what you think. Maybe you're from the area. Maybe you know me. Maybe you think I'm nuts. I don't know. Whatever. I'm not. Well, supposedly we're all a little crazy, but anyway.